What's up, book babes? Get comfy, get cozy. It's time to chill. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Emily, and this is Book Bits and Chill, the podcast where we break down every chapter, thirst over fictional men, and never take ourselves too seriously.
Today is a massive, massive, massive day because we are introducing a new mini series on the podcast called Fiction's Fresh Faces. And our intention behind this is that we've met so many incredible indie authors through going through our bookstagram journey that we wanted to start to highlight them. We wanted to highlight them as people, as new and emerging authors that you should definitely know. And we wanted to be able to highlight their debut novels as books that you should definitely add to your TBR. So, for our first episode, we have author Allie on the podcast with us. Welcome.
I'm so honored to be your first author. That's so exciting.
Woo!
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on here and joining in this absolute chaos. So, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, telling our, 12 listeners out there who you are, how you got in this journey, all of that good stuff, and we'll kick it off.
Yes. My name is Allie. I write under the pen name Alexandria Arden. Some listeners, maybe they know me, maybe not. I'm deluding myself that people know who I am. But
we know who you are.
I actually started my kind of like bookstagram journey as a bookstagrammer with the handle Alley Cats and Books. So I post a lot of book theories, especially about like the ACOTAR series and the Fourth Wing series. I think we had like chatted a lot about stuff like as on my like bookstagram account. And then through that journey, like I also met incredible indie authors. I interviewed them on my own podcast, Romantasy Readers podcast, and just kind of decided like, you know what, I think I could do this. And so I did, and I wrote a book, and now I'm here as an author, which is so exciting for me.
That is crazy. Allie, when was the last time you had actually like sat down and written something before you wrote this book?
Oh God, decades.
Yes.
Okay, so like, I went to graduate school. Don't ever do that, by the way. Do not recommend.
Impressive. Yeah. My brain can retain like this much at this age at this point.
So I went to grad school and I have a master's degree in communication. But like all the writing there, no creative writing, right? It's all very like papers type of writing. So obviously did a lot of writing in grad school, but like not fiction. I was an English major in college, so my bachelor's degree is in English, but I hated my creative writing classes. So, like I took creative writing classes because I had to, but I like mailed it in. So it's so wild to me that I thought that I wasn't a creative writer, but I've always loved reading. Like I've always loved reading, have always loved fantasy in particular, and just I don't know, just like sat down one day and like decided to just like write a whole book, and I did.
Your passion is what matters. Yeah, passion can take you anywhere you want to go.
It can take you anywhere. Absolutely.
Yep.
And delusion.
And that is even more badass, honestly, because I think a lot of people like use that as almost like a crutch for fear to like convince themselves to not do the thing. So the fact that you were like, I actually hated that class, but I'm still going to do this is unbelievable. That's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to be honest, I literally wrote the first draft of the book in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Now it took a lot of time to turn it into a good book. But I wrote like the very first draft, which was like, it was like 120,000 words. I did that in 6 weeks, like, because I just like was loving doing it so much, and I was just like writing every single night before bed, like where I would usually read before bed. I just like picked up my computer and wrote before bed.
And a lot of debut authors and debut bookstagrammers have full-time jobs, and you do as well, correct?
I do. Yeah, I have a full-time job.
That is crazy that you have a full-time job, you run a bookstagram, you have a podcast, and you wrote a book in 6 weeks.
It feels sometimes like I need a vacation, but I actually just got back from vacation and I was writing book 2 like the whole vacation.
She's addicted. She can't get it off. Oh my God, that is incredible. Well, I know we're going to get into a lot about the book, more about
Yep.
you, all the things. And do you want to take people through just kind of the structure of how we'll be going through these episodes in the
Oh,
series
yeah.
super quick? Okay.
We're going to do a quick vibe check, which is kind of just like who you are as a reader, how you came to be a writer, what the journey was that took you there. Then we're going to hear a bit about the book from Allie herself and let her take us on that journey. And then we have a section we like to call Write or Die. So it's kind of like your ride or die, and it's what
Perfect.
Wow, we're so funny.
you would lay your soul on the table for when it comes to writing, reading, your icks, all of the good stuff.
Oh,
And
great.
then
I have
we'll-
really strong opinions, so
Yeah.
it's going to be
Oh,
perfect.
Good.
We're ready for them. And then we'll get into a little bit of audience questions. And then one of our like mainstays in all of our podcasts is Bits of the Week. And that's kind of like freeform girlhood sleepover discussion. We can gossip, we can chat, and just see where the winds take us. So
Fantastic. I love that.
let's get into your vibes, Allie. So I think I know your answer to this. Also, we love to act like we know each other's answers before they come. Allie, I have only known you over social media, but I'm sure I know your answer to this.
She knows.
What's a book you wish you could erase from your memory to experience it again for the first time?
Oh,
Ooh.
God. So, I don't know if you're going to pick this, but it is probably, it would be like the entire Throne of Glass series. But if I had to pick one in the series, it
Yes.
would be probably Queen of Shadows.
Yes. Oh my God. That freaking book. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that was basically a spiritual experience.
Yeah,
reading that for the first
absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. I mean, and then obviously a close second would be Akamath, but
Yep.
I like the Throne of Glass series is so near and dear to my heart. Which is wild because, there's no spice and I love spice, but it just goes to show you that like you can have a really great romance book without spice. No
Totally.
shame. I want all the spice all the time, but I also
Yeah.
don't have to have it. Yeah.
All the time, but also when you have just such rich character development, like I
Yeah.
feel like that book just exploded so many of their character arcs, like
Yeah.
particularly Aylin's, Rowan's, Dory, like everyone.
Everyone.
And
100%.
I was just, it was just like captivating.
What do you remember what you felt when you were reading that makes you want to feel it again?
Oh, that's a great question. I thought you were going to
Yeah.
ask me, like, what do you remember about the book? And I was going to be like,
never.
Recap the whole book in 30 seconds.
I remember how I felt. I remember the vibes. I do not remember the plot whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think I just remember being like, holy shit, this world is so big and epic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I remember like feeling like I love that feeling of like I cannot put this book down.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like when I am staying up till 5 a.m. reading because
Yeah.
I can't put the book down, like ignoring all my responsibilities. Like
Yeah.
I can't have that happen a lot in my life, but I love it when it does happen. And I
Yeah.
think that was the moment in the Throne of Glass series where I was like, I can't stop reading.
Totally.
You know what? I got really lucky. I started reading the Massverse during COVID when I already had like nothing to do anyways. And so I had like I did have a job, but I so
Nothing to
how
do. Nothing to do.
And so I literally could like binge read these for like 10 hours a day. And looking
Yeah.
back, I feel so lucky that I got that experience.
Yeah.
So, the way that I read Throne of Glass is, it's a very funny story. I was on a road trip. So my husband and I live in the West.
Ooh.
I live in Utah. We do tons of road trips because we just like love seeing things, and you just have to drive everywhere when you live in the West.
Of course.
And I was reading the Crescent City series. So I had read ACOTAR. I was reading Crescent City 2.
Oh, that's
I'm not gonna give any
wild.
spoilers.
Wow.
That's
Um,
wild. You went Crescent City.
I kind of love that though.
Yeah. So my SJM journey was ACOTAR, Crescent City, Throne of Glass.
Wow.
So I finished Crescent City 2. No spoilers, but the end of that book has a massive plot twist. And I was on this road
Yep.
trip, and we were like between Seattle and San Francisco, and I just like screamed, and my husband was like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And then I like looked up. Then at this time, I was not a Kindle reader, which God, my life would have been so much better if I had had a Kindle at that time. I was such a physical book reader. I literally looked up like the closest Barnes and Noble and made us like divert away from our road trip so I could go buy the entire Throne of Glass series, because I was like, I immediately need to read anything else by this author. And so then we went, I bought the whole Throne of Glass series. And by the time we got home from that road trip, I had finished the entire series.
Oh,
Wow.
that is unreal.
I was
First of all, you are the MVP for being able to carry those books around. I mean, they're behind me, and I'm like trying to think about carrying these around on a road trip, and it would just be wild. And second, your husband is also an MVP, because
He is. Yeah.
Impressive dedication to supporting your journey, your SJM journey. Oh my goodness. I'm very intrigued by, so obviously you go through the mass first, you go through your romantasy journey, all of that good stuff. There's a lot of tropes. There's a lot of these like consistencies in the tropes. So if you could only read one trope for the rest of your life, which one are you choosing and why?
This is such an easy answer because I exclusively read this trope today, which is enemies to lovers.
Okay.
Yeah. I want, like, I only want enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
And you know, we did see some of that in the Witch Queen,
There is a little witch. Yeah, exactly. I do have really strong opinions about like what counts as enemies to lovers, and I actually don't even think that my own book counts. But and I was not going to market it that way. I was so like, I will not market it. It's not enemies. And then like all of like my ARC readers started calling it enemies to lovers, and I was like, okay, well, I just have to go with it.
Wait, I need to know what you count as enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
They need to be like they are trying to kill each other. Like they need to be true enemies.
Like a Xaden and Violet.
No, I don't even. That's not enemies to lovers. That does not count.
They're actively trying to kill each other.
No, really.
Like
They're attracted to each other right away.
Like Rowan punching Aelin in the face.
Yes, but I don't even think that's
training her. He wasn't even trying to kill her.
Okay, have you read the best example I have of what I consider true enemies to lovers? This is a YA series, but the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. That is what I'm talking about. Like, he is like literally bullying her, and like, and it doesn't have to be a bully romance. There can be other kinds of enemies, but like, they actually actively hate each other. I also consider the prequel, the Jennifer Armentrout, like not from Blood and Ash, but the Flesh and the Fire series.
Yes.
Because like he goes to him, to Nikto, to kill him. And like that is what I mean by like they need to be true enemies. It can't just be like, oh, our families don't like each other. Like I would not consider Romeo and Juliet a true enemies to lovers.
No! Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, this is kind of blowing my mind because I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that
I still eat it up when it's like rivals to lovers or like mild dislike to lovers.
Rivals to lovers is such a good way to describe all the other books.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is
rivals to lovers or even more like I think of Fourth Wing as being more of a like forbidden romance in a way.
You're a smart girl. You're a smart girl.
I mean,
I have a lot of opinions.
I guess it's just I don't know. This is interesting because I'm like in a lot of these books they like actually hate each other. They supposedly hate each other, but then they feel the pull in their little gut or whatever. Yeah, but like they think they do, and so what is that? Like, that's not even rivals. That's like more of just a like, ooh, I didn't like you, but then now we're lovers.
Yeah, dislike to lovers.
Dislike to lovers.
Yeah, which I eat that up too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like
in Cruel Prince, I like actually was like, I don't know how you got from enemies to lovers because the enemies are so strong that I'm confused about the in between.
But the way that they get like, it makes that like that romantic tension like even more delicious, and that's what I love is the like that really like, oh man, they hate each other and now they're like, you know, and when they finally like kiss or whatever, it's like, oh yes.
What are you giving the Witch Queen if you said it's not really enemies to lovers?
Yeah.
So I initially was gonna call it reluctant allies to lovers.
Oh. I like that. That is
yeah.
a trope. That's a
That's a
consistent
trope. Yeah,
trope.
like I was considering it reluctant allies because like pretty like in my book they are, I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but they
Oh,
are
it's fine.
like from enemy kingdoms, and but like in their first meeting they agree to kind of like ally with each other.
Right.
But like our FMC Laurel is still like, yeah, I'm gonna ally with him and then kill him. So
Yeah.
there is a little bit of like enemies. Like
Mm.
she, for like half the book, she's like pretty sure she's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
But doesn't really take any actions to harm him in any way. So that's where I'm like, isn't really enemies to lovers. It's more like reluctant allies. Yeah.
I like a reluctant allies to lovers.
Yeah.
We are reading The Night and the Moth right now by Rachel
Mhm.
Gillick, and I would probably, I guess, then describe that as a reluctant allies to lovers as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Huh.
They're
Yeah.
still great. I still love those. I love any kind of like barrier to them being together.
Same.
Wow,
Same.
Allie, you really just rewired my brain.
We
Thank
just,
you.
we
Now
just
it's
had,
like,
we just
yeah,
had an enemies to lovers trope lesson with Allie, and I am so grateful.
When you actually find a true enemies to lovers, you're gonna like appreciate it so much more. You're gonna be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, finally, because it's
Yeah.
actually very rare. It's not very common.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Because it is so hard to
desperately
do.
hunt for
It's
this.
so hard to do well.
Okay, so Cruel Prince, and then do you have any other suggestions that you would squarely put into the enemies to lovers category?
So yeah, the Flesh
Blood
and the
and
Fire.
Ash.
series.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Flesh and Fire.
Looking
Who
at my
can
bookshelf.
remember Jennifer L. Armentrout's titles?
Yeah.
Not me.
I know. I always think
Shadow
it's like
and the Ember.
the prequel series, the one that's
Yeah.
not the main one. I'm
Yeah.
really looking at my bookshelf being like, Oh, this is both. I consider this true enemies to lovers and also true forced proximity. The Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon.
I haven't
Oh,
heard
I
of that.
read.
Also, it starts it's very similar to Throne of Glass, where it like kind of starts YA,
Yeah.
and so it's more closed door, and then like the most recent book starts to become open door, which is great.
Okay.
It's so good, and it's a very like nobody knows about it because it's the first one is like older. It came out before
Right.
like, the BookTok craze.
Yeah.
Those
Ooh.
books are incredible. The fifth one just came
Ooh.
out.
Oh, there's
Fifth
five.
one.
Sign me
Wow.
up.
There's
Sign me
5.
up.
Get on Amazon.
Done.
Yeah. And then I did just read, the viral Silver Elite. And
Yeah.
I would probably consider that one like a true enemies to lovers, even though they don't necessarily want to kill each other.
Yeah.
Like he does.
They do hate each other.
They
She
do,
does
like-
hate him.
She does. Yeah. And
passionately.
I'm like, spoilers. I'm not like convinced that like we've seen the like end game romance. in that series.
Ooh. Oh, I really want to know your theories there,
Yeah,
but
I
I
know.
know that we have
Yeah, you can't spoil.
because that just unlocked something in my brain that I didn't know was living there about that book. So let's discuss
Once you hear
that.
it, once you
Yeah.
hear that, you're gonna
Yeah.
go back and be like, oh my god.
This series has turned into Allie's hot takes.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
know.
this series has become.
Sorry, I do have a book I should promote. I really am bad at promoting my own book because I just want to
Okay.
talk about other people's books.
A couple more questions before we let you dive into your book and tell everybody
Yeah.
what's in store. So you said that you're pretty opinionated. So as a writer, what is your like number one ick as a reader? Like you're reading and you're like, absolutely not. I would never let one of my characters do that. Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
disgusting.
So I hate the pregnancy trope.
Ooh.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't really like I read fantasy to like escape. I like no shame to like this is not a take on like motherhood or anything like that. It's literally just like it just pulls me out of the fantasy of it all. When there's a child, typically what ends up happening is that they have a baby and then they like ride off into the sunset and they're like
Right.
no longer badass anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what I hate. And then I also just hate like continued miscommunication.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like, come on. Like I want my characters to like mature and grow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Iron Flame really bugged me for that reason.
Ugh,
I was
yeah.
like, okay guys, you've been having the same conversation for freaking 6 months. Like grow up.
Totally agree. Em and I actually buddy read Iron Flame like right when it came out, and I think we were like 30% in. We were like, "What in the fuck is going on?" Like
We were
they
like,
just
somebody
talk to
yeah.
each other. And, like, enough.
Yeah, exactly. I just like I hate, and it's what it is what I hate like plot that is reliant upon two characters not talking.
Right.
And
right.
that's what's driving the plot. Like, I'm
Yep.
like, come on. Like, that
Yep.
is, I find that, and again, there are some aspects of that a little bit in Witch Queen, but I feel like I do it.
She's like, I hate it, but I actually wrote it as well.
Yeah, but I actually did it. No.
Well, I feel like you navigated it well, because it's like, if it does happen, it should happen at the right time, right? And then to your point,
Yeah.
it's like the characters should be able to evolve past it,
Right.
and develop past it. And so
Yeah.
I feel like you did it nicely
And then
versus it just
my
taking up 50%
characters, like,
of the book.
actively talk about why they like didn't talk about the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it made sense that they didn't talk about it, at least to me. Who knows? Other people might read it and be like, God, no, it didn't make any sense.
Okay, I think we have one more,
Yeah.
and then we can get into the book. So this is kind of to tee up a little bit about the book, but if you wouldn't mind finishing the sentence, if
Okay.
you loved, insert popular BookTok, bookstagram, romantasy book here, you'll love The Witch Queen because...
Okay. Oh, this one's so hard to me because I feel like it's kind of an amalgamation of a couple. So I'm going to give you a couple.
Yeah, go do whatever you
Perfect.
want.
Make it
Break
your
the
own.
rules.
If you
Yeah.
loved, break the rules. If you loved Throne of Glass
Check.
and the Jennifer Armentrout series, like all of that, if you just
Oh.
love Jennifer Armentrout,
I'm so
then
scared.
you're going to love The Witch Queen because it has the like super deep world building of both of those books. It has, while having the like, it like Jennifer Armentrout's a little bit darker and a little bit spicier and a little bit grittier without being a true dark romance, and that's kind of the category that I put The Witch Queen in.
Yeah.
And then like if you love Manon and Dorian, which is my favorite couple from the series, then like Laurel and Hawthorne are like Manon and Dorian as like more mature older people. Like that's what I
Yes.
think.
That is all
Yes.
you need to say, Allie. Everybody run, buy the book.
Run and read it.
Manon and Dorian fanfic.
Yeah, it basically is.
I feel like I was just immediately sold, and I already have read this. So everyone, if you've heard this, you are obsessed with Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I can never say her name, which we
Yeah.
all are, and Throne of Glass. Go get this book. Okay, Allie, based off of that, we would love if you would humbly oblige us in giving a kind of quick synopsis summary of the book. Take our followers through what it's about, who the characters are, all of that good stuff before we get into the write or die section.
Yeah. So I wrote this book because like I said, I have my own podcast, and I was doing a podcast episode with, I think it was, do you know the Sasper? She's like a cosplayer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we interviewed her, and so we were talking about how annoying it was that like all of the main characters are 20 years old. And and we just like literally bitched about that for like an hour and had to like cut it out of the podcast. And I just remember being like, oh, it's so annoying. Like, what if they weren't? Like, what if they actually lost? Like, what if they were the chosen one and then just like didn't win? And so that's kind of
Ooh.
where it all began. And so you get that in the prologue. You meet the FMC Laurel at 20 years old. She is a prophecy blessed chosen one. She's in the middle of the war that the prophecy has said she's gonna win. And we watch her lose. She loses at the end of it. And that's the prologue. And then chapter 1 takes place 300 years later. And so you kind of get to meet her, older, more mature in some ways, you know, but you also see you basically get to see the impacts of that failure, I think, through that journey with her. And in the process of losing that war, she put mist up all around her kingdom. And so nobody has entered or left it in like 300 years. So I also kind of say that she's like the female version of Rhysand from ACOTAR, where, you know, nobody knew what the Night Court was in there, right? If you think about Rhysand from the first ACOTAR book, there's all these rumors about him. They say that he's evil. They have, you know, people like say all this stuff about him, and that's kind of what is the case for Laurel. Is people say all this stuff about her. They think that her kingdom is like oozing with like black bile and all of this stuff. And so that's kind of like the setting. There's the magic of her kingdom is declining, that we kind of learn that in the very first chapter. And so she goes and she strikes a deal with the person who beat her in the prologue. That guy's still around, to send an emissary from his kingdom to trade emissaries basically. And he sends his son, Prince Hawthorne,
Ooh,
And so, and
spicy.
she's like, I'm not going to let him get close to me. I'm going to kill him if he learns too much. And all of that obviously goes out the window. We know how that goes.
Duh.
We
Duh.
know how that goes yeah. And she's pretty morally gray, at least on the outside, but she has a lot of guilt, so I really say that it's like a character driven story. It's very much like the characters are kind of coming to terms with who they are and what they want and doing that through their romance, but it's also very plot driven. I think you could take the romance out and there's still plot there, which no shade. I mean, I love all kinds of books. I love all kinds of romance books, but there is a lot of plot here and there's a lot of deep world building and like tons of Easter eggs, like I like posted book theories. Like I wanted my readers to be able to make theories. So I always tell everyone, like, if you know where to look, there is a an Easter egg for the end of book 5. It's a 5-book series.
Oh!
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. You know
And
what?
similar to Fourth Wing, every
Yep.
chapter starts with like an epigraph of like, text from the world. You can't necessarily trust those things because we've had revisionist history. And so, there's just like, you can really theorize a lot of things.
Wow. Okay, I am the type of reader that I need like the first 2 chapters to be like wham, bam, bam. Like I need to be pulled in. And when you were just describing your literal prologue, I had like full body chills. I'm like, she lost the war.
No.
Yeah, the prologue is definitely like wham bam. It does, it kind of slows down like the first like 4
That's
chapters.
okay.
Or so. Yeah, but the prologue like it gets you, man. It is like, yeah.
Wow, I love that. Okay, do you want us to get into kind of like our questions about your writing process, the plot, and everything?
Let's do it.
So let's talk about maybe like the story development because this is a very unique story. I know you've referenced, a lot of maybe similarities to other series, but I feel like the way that you kind of crafted it just makes it very, very unique from other series or other standalones even.
100%.
The book balances kind of this intense like political tension that you just alluded to. It has this high stakes magic. It has this really nice romance between the prince and Laurel. So what came to you first? And I know you kind of hinted at this, but was it the main character, Laurel? Was it the world, or I guess the worlds within both kingdoms, or was it the central conflict that they find themselves in?
It was definitely first, obviously, the concept of like, what if she lost? But then definitely the character of Laurel. Like I knew very early on who she was and what her struggle was. And then it was kind of like very much a result of like fitting things to like drive that particular narrative and bring her to where she is today. That's kind of where it started.
Okay, I'm dying to know because I feel like as an author, naming your characters is like naming your child, but then also like it has to fit into the world in this storyline too. So like, how did you pick these characters' names?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So they're actually all plant names. Which is, and significant plant names to their like story, their backstory and everything. So like if people want to theorize, like go look up like what those plants are, what the Greek gods and goddess references mean, all those kinds of things. And so basically to pick the characters, I just like literally scrolled like baby names that are plants. And I have like a notes app where like I still have this notes app where I just have like dozens and dozens, and I broke it out like, okay, FMC, okay, MMC, and then like kind of like wrote down what they meant and things like that, and then eventually sort of picked. And then that was really great. That made it so helpful to pick secondary character names because I had already done all that research. So then I would just be like, oh, okay, well I didn't use this one. Oh, that actually really works for this character, and went from there. So
I just had to stop myself from Googling half of these names. Like, can you tell me what plant King Mazis?
Yeah.
Mazis
so
is?
Mazis is a like a creeping vine plant that is kind of
Oh,
known for being it's there's a bunch of different types of Mazis
yeah.
plants. But it's known for being like, you know, kind of invasive, kind of like it spreads out very quickly. So, you know,
Oh,
that kind of matches.
between this and the Easter eggs, my mind is literally getting blown just
Yeah,
left and right. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, that is
yeah,
incredible. Wow. Okay,
I'm in shock.
I'm gonna do a lot of Googling after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That is brilliant. Okay, so speaking of our main characters, the pacing kind of hinges on Laurel and Hawthorne or Thorne's evolving relationship. So,
Yeah.
how did you approach building the forced proximity, the maybe enemies to allies to lovers, all the things, their arc basically, without kind of losing sight of their political stakes that they had at hand?
Yeah, I mean, very early on in the writing process, I really saw two very clear moments. I don't want to give spoilers, but I saw the moment where they kind of become more than just allies very
Mm,
clearly and exactly how that was going to happen. And then I saw the moment that they, you know, like, sort of had their like spice scene for the first time.
mm,
And so for me, it was always about driving to those two scenes.
Mm.
And again, I very much approach this, even though there are a lot of politics and there is a lot of plot. For me, it was always about like, where are the characters in any given moment, and how is
right.
that like kind of connected to metaphorically what's going on with the plot and the politics.
Yeah, very
So
impressive.
yeah,
It is interesting because I feel like I've listened to a lot of, author interviews, and they tend to similarly have kind of these like anchor scenes that they had like
yeah, yeah.
initially had in their head or in their imagination before they even started drafting the book. So I love that one of them was the spicy scenes, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that that was one of your
Props
two
for that.
major
Yeah.
series.
I mean, everybody, like, that's like, especially if you're going to do a really kind of torturous slow burn, which I think
Yeah.
this book is. I mean, it's not as slow burn as like maybe Spark of the Everflame, where it like takes 3 books for the spice to
Yeah,
happen,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it is still pretty torturous for a 1 book slow burn. That spice thing has to hit. You know what I mean? Like, it has to
Totally.
hit, and it has to be really connected to like the emotional journey that they're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like, for me as a reader, I just like really love it when the spice is connected to like an emotional
Yes.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, so since you knew these two scenes, I was also dying to know, like, how did this whole like idea come to you? Like, did you wake up from like a deep slumber and you were like, this book, or like, were you
That's
like,
a Raven. She's like, oh.
yeah,
Okay,
were you
okay.
like literally like in the shower and you were like, I have to write this novel? Like,
I was
how
in the
did it
bath.
first? Yes,
I was in the
love
bath.
that.
I'm a bath girl. I love a good bath.
Love
And in
that.
fact, in the original, like the very first draft of the book, Laurel took like 4 baths in the first 3 chapters.
She's very
It's a
clean.
And I
deeply
didn't even
personal
realize it. It was
book.
like my husband's the first person that read, you know, like the first 10 chapters that I wrote, and he was like, "She takes a lot of baths." Okay, well, she needs them. Okay, come on, she's running a kingdom. She needs
She's
her
a
me
queen. That's right.
She does still have 1 bath in those chapters, so I kept at least the 1 bath. But yeah, no, I was like, I was sitting in the bath, and I was like, I really should write this, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna write it, what would it be, you know? And then like for like every single night when I was in the bath for a week, because I take a bath every night before bed, I was just like on my phone, just like thinking things up, and you know, and I wouldn't say like the whole story came to me, you know, like there, but like
Yeah.
some of those really intense scenes, and then I was like, I'm just gonna start writing and see what happens, and then I was writing more and more, kind of came to me.
What is it about like the shower or the bath? Like, that's where I have all of my
Truly.
most creative
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like your brain gets focused on another task, and then like can actually create in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And to be honest, I was struggling a lot with book 2 for a really long time, and like I wanted to start writing it, but I didn't have it all together. And then there was like a day where it was like the first warm day. I live in Utah, so it's really cold in the spring or in the winter, and it was like the first warm spring day, and I went and ran a bunch of errands, and like while I was running all those errands, it was like, oh, and then this will happen, and then this will happen, and then this will happen. So like all came to me while I was just running errands.
Wow, I love that. When you're When your husband read the spicy scene, was he like, how do you know how to do this?
I mean, no, because he knows how much spice I read. And he has read all of the Fourth Wing books and,
Okay.
well, read equals listens,
Love
and
that.
also all of ACOTAR.
So he knows.
So he knows.
He knows
Yeah.
what's up. I
Yeah.
actually was gonna ask you about the process of writing these spicy scenes, and like, do you have to put yourself in like a certain setting, like a certain
Yeah.
mindset to just like sit down and write these scenes out?
An
I
alter
always
ego.
wonder that.
No.
Yeah, like
Like-
how does that come to life?
Honestly, the spicy scenes are sometimes the easiest ones.
Okay.
Love that.
Which is
Okay.
crazy. I am like when I read, I see things very clearly in my mind,
Yep.
and then the same is true when I write. And so it's very much just like I'm just kind of imagining it. I will say I went to the UK for work, and I had like a 10-hour flight to come home, and I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna do a ton of writing. And I got on book 2, and I got to a spicy scene, and like I was like, oh, I'm a little uncomfortable writing this. Fine, because I mean, never, like, people can see your laptop screen.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're on a plane.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and there was literally like a 10-year-old child next to me who was asleep, and I was like, this kid could be pretending to sleep and like I don't know. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to another scene.
Actually, also, Allie was interested in like, so obviously in romance and fantasy, we describe a man's manhood in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
How did you go through that process? How did you decide on that? Like, I'm that's another thing I've always been very interested
Yeah.
in.
It gave me a lot more empathy for writers, I will say. As a reader, I have like certain words, that like give me the
Yeah.
ick. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, why do they always use this word? I hate it." And then after I was writing, I was like, there's not a lot of words. Like I can't
There's
just
really
keep using
not.
the same words over and over again. So
There's
it
really
definitely
not.
gives me a lot of empathy for other like romance writers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's real. That is the hardest part of spicy scenes is like new and different ways to describe appendages.
That's
And
fair.
the body.
We can only call it a steel length so many times before it
exactly.
gets old. So.
Like, okay, I hate the word. This is like folds.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like, I hate it. And I remember at one point I had written that, and I was like, no, I refuse. I will not use that word.
Oh my god! No, the folds and when for whatever reason a lady's parts are called her sex. Like when he
sex.
like
I
comes
hate
into
that
her
too.
sex, I
Yeah.
cannot handle that.
Uh-uh.
It's oh my god.
I think I edited out folds, but I think I.
Oh god.
You know?
Oh god. That is horrific.
I know. It is horrific.
Okay, Allie, I think that from what you've told us so far, I will have to guess that you relate most to your character Laurel, maybe just because
Absolutely.
of the baths. But were
Yeah.
there any other characters in your book that you were surprised you related to so much?
Definitely Laurel is the person I relate to the most. There's a character named Celine who I did not think I would relate to at all, but actually the more that I started to understand who she was, the more I was like, I see this. Like, so she's this youngest character. She is only 40 years old, which is like 18, in human years or whatever.
Yeah.
But she's also like brilliant, and people underestimate her a lot because she also just like loves girly things, and I feel like we don't often get to have characters in fantasy who are female characters who are super girly while also being like super smart. You know what I mean? They're like the battle general or whatever. They're hardened and I really related to that a lot. I think I love to talk about my Taylor Swift love and my Romantasy love and all those things, but like I'm also, I have a lot of intellect. Not that I'm not trying to say at all that people who like those things aren't intelligent. In fact, I disagree very strongly with that premise, but I really relate to Celine.
I love that point, and I did feel I don't know if you guys felt this when you were reading Throne of Glass, but like I felt like that's why I felt so connected to Lysandra a lot of the time
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
absolutely.
she was so just like in her feminine energy and she just owned it and like
Yeah,
did not apologize for it. And to your
yeah.
point, like I feel like she was one of the first characters that I've read in Romantasy that were like that were genuinely
Mhm.
like that, that weren't like desperate to get out of their skirts to get into their leathers and
Yeah,
whatever. And it's like
exactly.
I I love seeing that diversity and that range because to your point, it's like, yeah, we all have our moments where we just like want to hang out in sweatpants, but we all also like sometimes like to get dressed up and do our thing and feel like
Yeah.
girly girls, and that doesn't take
Yeah.
away from our power and our intellect.
Yeah. And I had a lot of beta readers pointed this out, and I kept this contradiction intentionally. So there's a line right when Selena's introduced that says like, the customs for women in her country really chafe at her as much as the dresses she's forced to wear. And
Ooh.
then later in the book, she wears dresses. And so a lot of beta readers were like, well, I thought she hated dresses. And it's like, no, that's an intentional contradiction. She hates
Mm.
wearing dresses because she has to, right?
Mm.
That's what she hates, is
Yeah.
being forced to be any one thing. When she's in control of it and when she gets to go all glam and be girly, she loves that. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like who Celine is like she wants to get to choose who she is in any given moment because she's
I love her
very,
already.
yeah. She's
Don't
also
put
like
her in a box.
she's
Yeah.
like tiny. She's like 4'11" for a fae, which is like so little. So she's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I love this. Okay, so without giving away any spoilers, because we want everybody to read this and go along the journey they're on their own, how did you decide to end book one?
That was another scene that very early on was super clear in my mind.
Mm.
And actually that one, music is really really important for me as I'm writing. Like I'll be listening to a certain song and then like a scene of the book will like play out that like kind of has that. And I was listening I'm not going to say I'm trying not to spoil it, but like as I was writing, it was last summer, the Gracie Abrams album was like really big.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
so she just has a lot of this like angst or whatever. And
Yep.
the scene came to me as I was listening to the song "I Love You, I'm Sorry," and that's
Oh,
where it came from. Yeah,
that's such a good,
Wow.
yeah. And I knew,
good
like, I
song.
just was like, "Yep, I'm gonna end this on a cliffhanger." People are gonna be so mad.
It was such a good cliffhanger, though, I
Yeah,
will say.
it's
Not spoiler, but
it's
spoiler. Yeah,
brutal.
it's a good one. Well, that's actually a good lead into our
Yep.
audience questions.
They wanted to know.
Yeah, so we polled some of our audience, some of Allie's audience beforehand to see what their burning questions might be. And one of the questions was, if your book had a theme song, what would it be?
So, this is a really good question, and it's really hard because there's so many songs that are really important. But so I actually have a chapter by chapter playlist
Oh,
that you can go listen to that has, for every single chapter, there's a song that either sometimes gives you an Easter egg, sometimes like gives you more insight into the character,
mm,
and sometimes like matches the vibes. But there's one more song than there are chapters. And so the
Ooh.
last song is kind of supposed to be like your processing song.
what,
And I
what just
think
happened song?
exactly. And that song is My Heart is Broken by Evanescence. And I think
Oh!
yeah. Yeah. Yes, I listened to so much Evanescence on writing this book.
We love Evanescence. You have no idea.
Oh, really? Oh, me too. Like, if you have my specific music taste, my playlists are amazing because it's like there's like Evanescence and Sleep Token, but then there's also like a bunch of Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams and
Unreal.
yeah.
Unreal.
That's
incredible.
amazing.
Also, please send us the playlist, and we will
I will.
link it
Yeah,
in
I
the show notes for everyone to go listen to.
Yeah,
because
everybody
I'm
needs to
very
listen.
intrigued.
It's a really great playlist, even if you aren't
Sounds like
like
it.
listening to it as you're reading the book. Like, it's just
That
Yeah.
is amazing. Okay, so both of our audiences had a sort of similar question, so I'm gonna kind of combine them, and that is that there are a lot of romantasy books out there we all know and love,
Yeah.
and how did you make yours different enough that it would stand out from the others?
Mm. Well, I hope that I did that. I don't know that I mean, there are a lot. It's a very saturated market. If anything, I mean, I am very, very well read in this genre. It's kind of all I read.
Fair.
And so I definitely was asking myself as I was going, like, is this, different? Is this unique? Is this a kind of twist on the trope? And so much of the book was born from my own frustrations with the genre, right? Like them always being 20, it
Yeah.
always being like a 300-year-old shadow daddy with like a 20-year-old like
Yeah.
female. And so like,
Right.
and it, we all kind of ignore that age gap, but like for fantasy, for fun, whatever. But I really wanted to write two characters who were like equals, because like the power dynamic, even in ACOTAR, it's not really explored in the way that maybe it should be.
Right.
So for me, the book was born from like wanting to do something a little bit different. I mean, there are things that are the same, like it is like they say
all the things we love.
Yeah, witchling and princeling, which is what they call each other in Throne of Glass, Dorian and Minorian. So
Minorian, we love them.
Yeah. But I definitely, like, as I was writing, was trying to, like, it was something that was in, like, the back of my mind of, like, how can I make this a little bit different?
Yeah, I feel like honestly, so many of the better works come out of this like unmet need because it's like if you are feeling this, I think a lot of people are probably also 100%. Feeling this. So I love that approach and agree with you on the age gap. It's like a lot of times it's fun, obviously, and it's like hilarious that they're 18 or whatever, but then other times it's like, okay, I would like to be able to see myself in this character and I don't when she's just a teenager.
Yeah. And I just like, I wanted characters who like could meet each other and they have conflict and they have miscommunication, but like there's a moment in like a really important like the emotional scene that happens before the spice. And the MMC kind of reveals something to the character that he'd been hiding from her. And I feel like in classic romantasy, an author would have used that to then have her get mad at him and delay the spice longer. And I like very much was like made it a point for her to be like, no, I understand why you hid that from me.
Mature women.
Mature.
Yeah, they understand each other's motivations and like don't like fight over that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, we also got some questions as it related to kind of the behind the scenes of how to bring a book to life. So can you talk a little bit about how you were able to find a publisher for your book? Because I know in the indie author space too, it's very prevalent that they self-publish. So how's that journey for you?
Yeah, so that is a good question. And the answer is I don't have a publisher. I did self-publish this. Yeah, so I think maybe, that's a good question. It's a good opportunity to clarify. I published this myself. So, and I always say the hardest part of all of this was figuring that part out. Writing the book was easy. It wasn't easy, but like compared to figuring out how to find a cover artist, how to format the book, how to what the timelines were to upload, like I've made mistakes along the way. I've made, that is the hardest part. And, self-publishing was a very intentional choice for me because again, I am very connected in this space. I know a lot of independent authors. A lot of the big book deals in Romantasy are coming out of the self-published space. So if you think about the deal that Sarah A. Parker got, that like When the Moon Hatched came out independently, the entire Spark of the Everflame series came out independently. All of like Quicksilver was an independent book. And so those authors have a lot more control in the negotiations once it's published, and they've almost all of them have been able to maintain their digital rights. So they are still the publisher and get 100% of the royalties for all of the ebooks, which I think is, in this day and age, is massive, right? And an opportunity to use the publisher for what they're good at, which is the physical copies. So I also was like, I could spend a year figuring out like querying agents and then querying, trying to get a deal, or I could spend a year building my audience and like writing and finding like readers for these books. And so I made that choice very early on. Like I always was like, I'm going to self-publish.
Good for you.
Yeah, I have to say I am incredibly inspired by you. That is a feat, honestly. And like to take all of that on, and I think said this at the beginning, but like with a full-time job and a full-time life and
Yeah.
all of the other things going on is just it's incredible. So bravo to you. That's
I'm
awesome.
also like shocked into silence a little bit because we got to see a little like behind the scenes into like the marketing and like your street team files, and I was
Yeah.
like, this girl must have like a 27-person marketing team. Like this is so legit.
It's all me.
Yeah,
I am so
powerhouse.
impressed. I was like, holy crap, this is so well organized. It all goes together so well. Like I understand everything I'm looking at so clearly.
Yeah. I'm lucky and fortunate that I do a lot of project planning in my in my day job. So like as a
Nice.
project manager. So that helps. I have some of those skills, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's all me. And like marketing the book is the hardest thing for
Yeah.
indie authors to do for sure.
Absolutely. Well, again, I'm just so impressed, and I think all of this hard work is only bound to pay off. And I just
Yeah.
love so much that sentiment of really being able to own your work in that
Yeah.
way and
Yeah.
like own it from start to finish, right? Where it's like even
Mhm.
when you do get picked up by a bigger publisher, like being able to have more of that stronghold in the negotiations and not feeling like you're kind of only privy to these like suits
Yeah.
in a room, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's
Yeah.
just that's incredible.
Well, and the book is also 207,000 words long. No publisher would publish a debut book that long. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't take
Really?
it. No, absolutely not. That was another thing of it. It was like I truly don't feel like I could have told the story I wanted to tell in less words. I mean, like maybe people have disagreement, maybe they think there's repetitive things, but for me, because it was so much about the characters and like the journey that they were going on, like you needed time to watch
Sure.
those walls between the characters come down. And so
Right.
there like I would have, if I had gotten a book deal, it almost certainly would have been like get it down to 150,000 words, 120,000 words.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
This is a really good segue into bits of the week. Bits of the week. Bits of the
Oh.
week. So,
Wow,
this
we've never
is,
had a theme song for this segment. It's the first time.
Allie has
I love
me
it.
inspired to go after my dreams.
Your dreams of being a performing artist.
Yeah, writing theme songs.
So, I was thinking again just about how much you do, and obviously social media is like a huge thing for authors these days. So like
Yeah.
you have to promote yourself on social media. The people that have the most followers on social media are getting the best book deals, etc. Like
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you feel burdened by that, or do you
Oh.
feel like that's like opens the world to you?
Well, the answer is yes to both. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like there would be no world where people could self-publish so successfully without social media and
Right.
BookTok and Bookstagram. So like on the one hand, like it opens the doors that wouldn't have been there otherwise, but on the other hand, it is a lot of work.
Right.
You know, and I like even just you know, in the 2 weeks leading up till release, I like committed to posting 2 times a day, which even that is not like that's a lot, but like that's not even like what they recommend, you know, like really
Right.
if you're trying to grow an audience, you're supposed to be posting 3-4 times a day. And it was
Right.
I mean, it was so much, you know, to come up with all of the content and then to have like and I do also have like learned because I was never on TikTok. I never like as a bookstagram, I was only on Bookstagram. I never like
Yeah.
cross-posted my stuff to TikTok. And so then I started a TikTok for my author account and realized very quickly that like the kinds of things that do well on TikTok are very different.
So different.
So different. And so
Yeah.
like I don't even like initially I was trying to like cross post and now I don't. My Instagram content is like completely different from my TikTok content. And that's hard too because that's just like another thing.
Right.
And I have a Bookstagram account that like
Yeah.
I have not been posting very much, but I also don't want to let that die
Right.
because like I
Right.
can't, you know, I can't give up the 16,000 followers or whatever I have there.
Wow, 16,000. I had no idea, Allie.
I mean, honestly, at one point I was up to like 20,000, 22,000, but I just, you know, if you're not constantly posting, once you get
Yeah.
into those higher numbers, you rapidly decline.
Right.
So it is it's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's a blessing too, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah.
So double-edged sword, is that the saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that is the saying. Yeah.
Is that a trope? The double-edged sword.
It could be like a metaphor for like a why choose or something.
Honestly, yeah.
Or
Yes.
not a metaphor,
So do you want to give a little shout out to your podcast? Like, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
yeah, sure. So it's called the Romantasy Readers Podcast. It is we only cover romantasy really on it. We've done a couple of things like we talked about like the Bryn Weaver books because we got the opportunity to interview her, so we were like, okay, we'll talk about her books. But for the most part, it's just romantasy. And we do deep dives into Fourth Wing and the ACOTAR series. This is kind of spoilery, so maybe like fast forward 30 seconds if you haven't read all of the Massverse. Like, we are both massive Bryce Serial shippers.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah.
It's you and Book Loveaholic, right?
Yeah, it's me and Book Loveaholic. Exactly.
Okay. Yes. I've seen this, and I've been like, oh my god, they are literally opening my eyes to something I didn't even think about.
Yeah. So we are like one of the only podcasts who like is talking about that. I mean, we've done like 5 episodes just on that shit, and like all the evidence and like the theory around it. But then we also do like.
I'm shocked.
Did I just
don't
blow
know
your mind?
Yeah, what is this?
Bryce and Azriel being a couple.
Being
You haven't
mates.
seen this?
No.
Being mates? Is it mates or a couple?
Mates. We believe
mates.
that they are fated mates.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Emily's jaw is to the floor for
yeah,
whoever's
you should
listening.
go listen to our 5 episodes. We do like
I'm
deep dive.
immediately listening to this all weekend. I don't even know what
Yeah.
to think. I kind of feel a little sick to my stomach.
Okay, but I will say, like, if you approach it with an open mind, a lot of people do not come at it with an open mind. If you approach it with an open mind, the evidence is there. Like,
I believe it.
I like, clearly I'm like an intelligent person who thinks a lot about books, right? And, I mean, every time I post something like this on like Instagram, I get tons of comments like, "You're so stupid," and I'm like, "I'm not." Like,
No, absolutely not.
I think there is legitimate evidence. I also
Yeah.
it's also like these are fictional characters. Like, whatever. Like, if you like something else, like something else. I don't.
Right. Yeah, don't come for me and my theories.
Yeah. So we do a lot of episodes on that, but we also cover, like, we're literally going to record on Sunday our Silver Elite episode.
Nice.
Ooh,
We've gone to interview Danielle Jensen and Bryn Weaver.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Sarah A. Parker, Penn Cole. We've interviewed all those people. We interviewed all those people, and they were indie authors, and then got to like see their journey go. So it's
That's
super.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a great podcast. Check it out. If you
Wow, I love that. Did all of those indie authors like convince you to want to write your own book kind of in a way?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it was like definitely interviewing them and like seeing how they kind of had a same journey. They were just like, I just decided to do it. And I was like, well, I can just decide to do it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I did. And like some of them had very different, like some of them were like Danielle Jensen is such an outliner and I'm kind of like the opposite of that. So like we did always kind of ask about like their writing like journey and style and kind of how they approach writing and those kinds of things. And so I got a lot of insights and
Wow.
yeah.
I am also very interested in your like bookstagram journey. So we started this bookstagram because we were basically a book club of 2 between the 2 of us, and we just like loved chatting about books in the absolutely chaotic way that we do, as you've seen here.
Yeah.
But what kind of inspired you to take your love of books and reading to the internet and social media?
The same was true. There was like no one in my real life that was reading the books that I was reading. And like, or if they were, like, they just didn't care about them as much as I did.
Yeah. That's real.
And I had like from my like own personal, kind of Instagram account had like followed a couple of different bookstagrammers and I was like, I'm going to try this. And then, I had a lot of my like Fourth Wing theory videos go viral, and that's kind of how I grew so fast. And then Nicole, I actually just met her on Instagram. She's she's in Australia. I'm in the US.
Yep.
She just kind of like slid into my DMs one day and was like, hey, do you like want to start a podcast? And I was like, yeah, sure. And
That's
it's
amazing.
been it's been wild. Yeah. Like I started my bookstagram in, I think, August of 2023. So
Wow.
almost 2 years.
Honestly, a founding father, if I was to say myself.
Truly,
Yeah.
I would agree. That is amazing. Well, we are gonna have to plan some sort of group talk with Nicole as well, because
Yes,
100%.
absolutely.
we need to talk Bryce Real. We need to talk whoever the potential love interest is in Silver Elite. We need to talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to get that on the books at some point.
Nicole and I like love off the beaten path love interests. So sometimes maybe we like look for them where they shouldn't be, but I think it's like we both just like love the like ACOTAR and Glass, and like the fact that like the first love interest isn't the main one. And
yep, I would say that I'm also on that team.
Yeah, it's also just more fun. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're wrong, it's just fun. It's fun to like look for that.
I agree.
Wow.
And sometimes the side characters are just more fun than some of the main characters.
Yeah,
so...
I personally find Hunt Athalar to be the most boring book boyfriend.
Yeah, he was kind of just hot, and that was it.
Yeah, and he like honestly in CC3, I like kind of found their like spice scenes a little bit icky, and so like,
oh yeah,
and I think that was intentional.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, you know what? When you told me this and I felt sick to my stomach, it's not because I want Hunt and Bryce to be together. Like, I actually like could care less about Hunt. I agree.
Everyone feels that way.
Yeah, but it's that you were taking Asriel with it.
Yeah, I know. People have a lot of feelings about Asriel and who she should be with, and like people have a lot of feelings about it, and like you can be into whoever you want him to be with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
totally. But it is interesting how many people think that he's going to be with someone completely different. And like, we posted this meme about ACOTAR 6, and people were talking about Eris and Asriel. They were talking about Bryce and Asriel.
Elaine.
Yeah, I feel like Elaine and Asriel were actually the last thing that people were talking about. It was like Asriel with every other character who's single in the book at this point.
For me, if I'm gonna like rank the ships, it's like Bryce Real. Second for me is Eris and Asriel. I actually am like really into that. I love an ending romance. And then it's like probably Gwen Real and then Elaine Real.
Okay.
El Real.
There's not even a name for them.
El Real, yeah. It's
and then it's just Elaine.
Elaine is just kind of so boring to me, so I'm like, I don't want anything with that.
I know. She can go to the spring court with Tampon, and they will
exactly.
It'll be fine.
That's what I think.
She'll get her garden on over there.
So since you're like kind of a romantasy expert, as I've decided in this last hour, what are you reading right now? I'm dying to know.
Yeah. So I just finished. So I listened to the audiobook of Silver Elite, and then I finished the fourth book in this amazing indie author series by Emberly Ash. So I just finished the fourth book, and that's the last book in the series. I think the series title is Secrets of the Fairy Crown, but it is a like King Arthur retelling with Fae, and it has a plus size FMC, which I don't think I ever mentioned that. My book has a plus size FMC.
Love that.
Yes.
And so I just finished that, and then literally last night I had read the first 6 books of Zodiac Academy, and then I was like, I need a little bit of a break because they're just like so intense.
Same.
And now I just picked up book 7.
Same, Allie. I stopped at book 6 too.
It's like I loved it, but I was just like, I'm just so exhausted of these cliffhangers. As somebody who loved the cliffhanger, I was like exhausted by them.
I was so exhausted by those books. I also loved them. I was eating them alive, but it felt like a full-time job to process everything that was happening.
It was too much, and not quite in a like I'm consuming these like I consumed Throne of Glass way. It was more. It just So I took like a 2-month break, and now I was like, okay, I think I'm finally ready to come back. Finish the series out. At least read 7. I might have to take a break again. We'll see. But
I haven't made my way back yet because I there's so many books that come out at any given time right now.
I
I feel like
know,
there's
I
a new
know.
viral book every week, and I
Yeah.
actually wonder how you feel about that. Like, what do you think about all of these like viral books and people like nose diving into them without any clarity?
So for a long time, I was like, I loved it. You know what I mean? Because it was like I never had to really have a TBR. It was just like I'll just like
True.
I'll read a book and then I'll wait for the internet to tell me what to read.
Yeah.
And then I had the podcast, and it started to become really draining for me personally
Yeah.
because I felt like I felt like I never got to pick the book that I wanted to read because we were always
Yeah.
talking about it on the podcast. And so Nicole and I both like we used to post our podcast every single week, and we just had to take a little bit of a break, especially because I was like writing and publishing a book. So
Oh,
now
yeah.
we only post like every other week, and have just been sort of like come up with like we're gonna get to the viral books when we get to them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, and honestly, it's kind of nice to let the like dialogue settle and
Yeah,
then get to talk
agreed.
about it, because I feel
Yeah.
like now I have much more insight into like what do I really think about Silver Elite? Like, is it
Yeah.
like the best thing ever, or is it like trash?
Right.
So yeah, but it got to a point where I was just like, I never got to pick my next book, and that kind of drained me.
Yep.
So I just don't buy into it anymore.
Yeah,
I just like,
love
I
that.
read what I'm gonna read. You know, like I really want to read Shield of Sparrows right now. I really want to read
Mm.
The Night and the Moth. I like there's tons of things I want to read,
Yeah.
but you know, I am a mood reader, and I can't keep up. So I
Yeah.
don't even try anymore.
That's
Allie,
fair. And
The Night
Oh,
in the Moth
go
is The Night in the Moth is very, very good. I think you should read it. I think you would really like it. I
Yeah.
tried to read Shield of Sparrows and I haven't got past chapter 6.
Wow. I've had people love it. I've had people hate it. The same was true of Silver Elite.
yeah.
So I just kind of like I read what I want to read when I want to read it, and like, but that was
Yeah,
kind of why
love that.
I had to take a break too from Zodiac Academy, because it was like I felt like I was missing out on so much by
Yeah.
just being in this like 9-book series, and I was like very like, I'm not going to read any of the novellas, I'm not going to read any of the backstories, I'm just going to read the main series, and even that was like a ton.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
get to it when I get to it, you know.
I
100%.
appreciate that, and I feel like we need to circumvent that more, honestly, because I
Yeah.
also feel like a lot of the times these viral books people have such strong opinions on them that they almost like pre-ruin the book for me to
Yeah.
a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like if people are too hype on it and then I read it and then I don't like it as much, it kind of ruins it. Or if people hate it and I like it, I'm like, well, what the fuck? So
What's wrong with me? Yeah.
I like having that distance from the discourse, because
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, I can actually just decide what I think about this book and
Yeah.
if I liked it or
And
not.
if I like it, and
Yeah.
and then when we cover it on the podcast, we have like we're gonna cover Silver Elite, and like my general feeling is like that book is neither as good or as bad as everyone said.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just
It's
kind of
kind
like,
of
okay, it was a good time.
was
It's like,
okay.
it was what it was. But yeah, it's
But
interesting.
also, when the Witch Queen goes viral, we're also going to edit this out of the podcast.
Yeah. When the Witch Queen goes viral, everyone has
Redacted.
to immediately drop what they're doing and read it. Okay? Don't,
Just drop where you're at in
Yeah.
Zodiac Academy and pick up the Witch Queen.
yeah, I
immediately.
want you to have the opinion of like you'll read it when you read it for everything but my book. My book, read it right now. Download it right now.
That's right. Well, I would love to end us on a sentiment like that. So if you want to tell any final details about your book, about the launch, about whatever that you want your
Yeah.
future readers to know, please
Yeah.
feel free to drop it here before we wrap up.
Yeah, so the book is available on Kindle Unlimited, so you can read that. You can also buy it in paperback and ebook on Amazon. It is also available. So on Amazon is just a paperback, but the paperback does have a bonus scene. So all of the
Ooh.
physical copies have a bonus scene. And then
Ooh.
if you buy it from your independent bookstore, indie bookstores have a special paperback version that has custom chapter headers. So
Ah.
the Amazon version just has like text as the chapter headers, whereas like the indie version has beautiful artwork that I had done. Because like I was never going to be able to like make the independent bookstore version as cheap as Amazon. So I wanted to
Sure.
kind of like give you something if you were doing that. And then the only place you can get a hardback is through me. So on my website, you can get a hardback with a dust jacket. It also has the bonus scene. It has all the custom character art. You can get that unsigned, and like the shipping is cheaper and gets to you faster because it comes directly from like the printer, or you can get it signed. So I will sign it, but it, you know, is just a little bit more. I'm also partnering with another small local business. It's really important to me that I really kind of support local businesses throughout this journey. So rather than me making all of the like bookmarks and stickers and things like that, which I'm not good at, I'm partnering with a small local business who is designing this incredible set of like bookmarks and stickers and page overlays with some of all that beautiful artwork. And that will all be up on my website as well as their website probably in the next month or so. So
Wow.
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
keep an eye on it. My website is just alexandriaarden.com. And then you can follow me either at Alley Cats and Books on Instagram or Alexandria Arden Author on both Instagram and TikTok.
Wow, Allie, we are so excited for this journey for you. It's been
Thank
so
you.
amazing getting to know you more as an author and personally, and I am leaving this feeling so inspired.
Yes, go write a book. Just like start writing. You can do it.
I don't know what I'm going to do today, but it's going to be something big, and my
Yeah,
husband
do
is
it
not going to
big.
be prepared.
Yeah.
Oh
Write
my
theme
gosh.
song,
Yeah.
write a book, do whatever you want to do. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so honored to be your first author, and thank you for agreeing. You're my first podcast, other than my own.
Wow.
And I'm so excited to start going on these podcasts and chatting with people about the book.
We
Heck
love
yeah.
it.
Well, we're so excited to follow your journey, and we wish you all the best, and cannot wait for the Witch Queen to be the next viral sensation across BookTok and Bookstagram. We're calling it right now. Well, okay. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the episode. So we'll see you same time, same place next Sunday. Bring your blankets, bring your book boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
See ya!